17th century ships. The Battle of Lepanto was one of the turning points in history. It was fought in the year 1571 off the little Greek port of Lepanto. An allied fleet of Europeans from Spain, Venice, and Genoa attacked the Turkish fleet, which had been controlling Mediterranean shipping for years. The vessels of both fleets were galleys. They had sails, but in battle they depended upon oars worked by hundreds of men. Guns had been used on warships since about 1350, but they could be mounted only at the bow and the stern or on the sides of the upper decks so that they could be fired over the heads of the oarsmen. The galleys were clumsy to handle and hard to maneuver. The destruction and bloodshed at Lepanto was greater than in any naval battle. After Lepanto, the Western world controlled the Mediterranean again, and it was the last great naval battle in which galleys manned by oars were used. Sailing ships had been in use for several centuries before this. In the Middle Ages, sailing ships were built to carry vast numbers of men across the Mediterranean to the Holy Land. Sailing ships, supplemented by oars, had carried the Vikings as far as Greenland and probably to North America. Merchants had used sailing ships to carry their goods along the coasts of Europe. Some crude instruments of navigation had also been discovered, which helped seamen to find their way on longer voyages. The compass had been discovered probably by the Chinese, who passed it on to the Arabs. The Crusaders picked it up from the Arabs sometime before the 13th century. It was a crude instrument, a magnetized needle which pointed to the north while floating on a straw in a bowl of water. At least the sailors did not have to depend on the stars alone. Another instrument used was the cross staff, which a seaman could use to sight the distance between the moon and a given star and figure out his latitude. In 1530, Frisius of Louvain pointed out that a clock and a quadrant which measures angles could be used to figure out a ship's longitude. But at the time, it was not known how to make an accurate marine clock, so this method was not yet effective. By the 17th century, however, sailing ships were taking longer and more venturesome voyages. The Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama had reached India by sailing around Africa. Columbus had crossed the Atlantic. Magellan had sailed around the world. Even with the crudest of instruments, men had sailed into unknown seas and opened up the way to colonization and world trade. By this time, the study of navigation had advanced a long way. The Italians Galileo and Torricelli had given the telescope and the barometer to seamen. The Dutch scientist Hughes had developed a marine clock controlled by pendulums with which sailors could estimate their longitude. It was still not accurate, and ships sometimes found themselves as much as 600 miles off course, but it was a step ahead. Meanwhile, a Scottish mathematician, John Napier, had invented logarithms which helped to make long distance calculations. The German Gottfried Leibniz and the Englishman Isaac Newton discovered calculus, which helped to figure infinitesimal quantities. The Frenchman René Descartes had developed the graph in mathematics. All of these discoveries helped the 17th century mariners to chart their courses in unknown oceans. At the same time, the shipbuilders of the 17th century were learning a good deal more about how to construct ships. They built caravels, carracks, and galleys, merchant ships, and warships in increasing size and splendor. So much shipbuilding went on that it was feared the forests of Europe would be stripped bare. England, Spain, and Holland began to set up shipyards in their overseas colonies where there were great forests. The ships were built with high sides and high pointed bows like those of the old galleys, and they were not altogether practical. They were heavily ornamented with galleries, windows, carved panels, painted figureheads, and gilded insignia. Castles were built on their decks to protect the men in battle and shelter them from the weather. The forecastle on ships today takes its name from these structures. The armed ships carried as many as 100 guns. In the old days, when the galleys had been propelled by oars, the oarsmen had sheltered themselves behind the sides of the ship, thrusting the oars through openings in the sides. The same idea was used for gun emplacements, and as more guns were added, they were arranged in tiers on three decks, emerging from gun ports cut into the sides. The heavier pieces were placed on the lowest decks. The Dutch were the first to arrange the guns in a checkerboard pattern. In battle, the guns were aimed at the masts of the enemy ship to cripple it. They fired in volleys, a number of guns going off at the same time. Sometimes they used chain shot cannonballs which were chained together in pairs and could do even greater damage. These were called angels. 17th century shipping had developed to meet a need for bigger and faster ships. Many seafaring countries had colonies overseas by this time, and other traded in far lands. Trade organizations such as the Dutch East India Company, the English Virginia Company, and the East India Company were formed. Spanish ships sailed to South America and Mexico, and French fleets to Canada. The great merchant ships sailed across the ocean, accompanied by warships to protect them from pirates or rival traders. Storehouses and forts were set up in foreign lands to carry on trade. The busy commercial routes of the Mediterranean were no longer as much in use, and the rich Italian ports became less important. The ports along the Atlantic coast were the rising cities now. The explorers of the 15th and 16th centuries had opened up a new world to Europe. Now, the big improved sailing ships would ply their courses around the world for 2 centuries until the steamship became the faster method of navigation. Thank you very much.